We're talking about the Barbie movie today, so I thought I'd get dressed for the occasion. The thing is, though, I can't dress like enough of a dickhead to be Ken, because I love how much of a dickhead he is when he's evil Ken.
I'm just Ken.
I'm just Ken.
It's so good, but we've got to do my intro first. So, there aren't many movies released in the last decade or so that have resonated as much with audiences as the Barbie movie. That's fair to say, right? Like, that movie is going to set the standard for marketing summer blockbusters and likely is going to be studied in like marketing classes for years to come. Because like just the marketing blitz for that movie alone is a fascinating thing. And I could probably write about 3 articles about that itself. Because the stuff that they did. Was it like they built like a giant Margot Robbie? And then like just like when they were going around like doing the press tour, like the pink carpet. And then every outfit that like Margot Robbie was wearing was like a different couture outfit that was worn by a Barbie at some point in history. And then all the stuff where they built the Barbie dream house in like Malibu. And then people were joking that the Oppenheimer marketing team should bomb it. As like a bit of... Yeah, that's the thing. And then there's Barbenheimer, where like... And did you see that thing with Margot Robbie recently, where she got a call personally from the people behind the scenes, like who were working on Oppenheimer, like, you should probably change the date of your movie. And she went, well, if you're scared, you should move yours. Oh. And so I know this movie's gonna kick ass, but we have to say that most of like the praise for the movie has gone towards one man for his frankly heroic efforts and the large amounts of Kenergy displayed. Yes. Ryan Gosling, a man who was inspired to play Ken in that movie by, of all things, Lemon. I think it's safe to say like he's one of the best parts of the entire movie because he plays it so straight. Like it's so earnest. Like it is a career-defining performance, and the fact he put that much energy, that much Kenergy into something so dumb is what makes the movie so great. Like everybody is just playing it so earnestly. Like right at the beginning, like Margot Robbie's being Barbie, and like they do all the little details, like she flies down because like who uses the stairs? No one uses the stairs in the Barbie dream house, so she just flies down. Or like just all the like the set dressing and stuff like that, where she's like looking in the mirror and it's not a mirror.
If that was really a mirror, you see a perfect smile.
Yeah, I love the stuff. I don't know why I wasn't expecting it because it's Barbie, but yeah, when she went to have a glass of milk and there was nothing there, or when she went down the slide into the pool and the pool's not real.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, because it's Barbie.
And it's just and then when they and then they get to the beach and all the Kens are just stood there just doing their job.
I just love it when they're just like, hi Ken, hi Barbie, hi Barbie, hi Ken.
And then all the weird like meta stuff, like the 2000 Space Odyssey intro, like the little girls. I had no idea what the movie was going to be. And I think I told my dad to go watch it. And he was like, I don't want to watch the Barbie movie. I went, that's the thing. It's not a Barbie movie. It is an experience. And I remember like the moment it came in, because when I was in the cinema watching it with my friend, both wearing a pink, and we watched it and we didn't know what to expect. And the audience was probably the most diverse audience I've ever seen in a film. Like in regards to like, gender, race, ages. Like there was 2 little girls in front of us watching it, and me and my friend are creasing ourselves at like, just the 2000 Space Odyssey intro, like the little girls like, wah, wah, just smashing the dolls. I'm like, what is this movie? Or like the bit where it's like, oh yes, new Depression Barbie. Yeah. Boom!
New Depression Barbie. She wears sweatpants all day and night.
It's so good. It's the hardest I've laughed at a movie in years.
I think the bit I laughed a lot at was when her heels touched the ground and everyone was just like heaving, and there was that guy in the balcony just like, Wah! Why is it so sickening that her feet touch the floor like that?
Was also, that's the shot where like Quentin Tarantino downloaded that trailer. Which Margot Robbie did do for real. And that's the thing as well, we've got to give props to Margot Robbie, because obviously we're talking about Ryan Gosling today, but Margot Robbie of just like, again, career-defining performance. Like, what phenomenal casting have they cast a lady who just looks like Barbie.
Yeah.
And while a lot of column inches were dedicated to how dedicated Ryan Gosling was to being Ken, it's worth noting that Margot Robbie was, like, put a heroic amount of effort into being Barbie. Like, she bought Ryan Gosling a present every day and signed it from Barbie. Which is just stuff like that. And then, like, the cast and crew, she'd give them, like, something pink every day, because that's what Barbie would do. So much pink stuff, in fact, I think they ran out of pink stuff in Hollywood. Like, they literally used the world's supply of pink for that movie. Bringing it back to Ryan Gosling as Ken, what makes his, I'm going to say heroic levels of effort he put in more commendable is the fact that, by his own admission, Ken's not a character. In Ryan Gosling's own words, nobody plays with Ken. He's an accessory and not even one of the good ones. Yeah. Like, he is as important to Barbie as her dream house. If not less so, because the dream house, you can do stuff with it, whereas Ken just gets, chucked in a stacker box somewhere.
I mean, it says something that, for me, the only Ken I'm really aware of beyond just being a toy is the one in Toy Story.
Yeah, which is, and what is Ken in that? He's an accessory. And he even says that, doesn't he? Of like the Ken in that movie talks about how, I'm an accessory for Barbie. People play dress up with me and there's no outfits for me, and that's why you have that great visual gag of when it's Barbie pretending to be Ken, and the guy just looks down and just sees that he's wearing the high heels and just goes, just assumes it's Ken.
I really enjoyed that film. I like quirky films like that as well. It's just, even if I didn't know if you were going to enjoy it or not, just the style of it.
The fact it's so fun, and I think that's the term to describe the Barbie movie. It's fun, and everybody making it had fun, and everybody behind the scenes had a very clear vision. Like director Greta Gerwig had a very, very clear vision, and the fact that she did this with such this valuable piece of intellectual property, she was allowed to just have depression Barbie jokes in there and stuff like that. Boom.
I also wasn't expecting to see John Cena as Ken Mermaid.
Hi, Barbie.
Oh, okay. Hi, Ken.
And then you have pregnant Barbie, and you have earring magic Ken for a little bit. He comes in with his thumping techno in the background. It's all good stuff. We talked about that in the past, and bring it back to Ryan Gosling and just the Ken. Ken is an accessory, and this quote from Ryan Gosling was a not so subtle allusion to the weird men online who were annoyed at the idea of Ken being treated like an object, even though that's literally what he is. And he's an accessory. He is something you bought as an accessory for Barbie, and it wasn't even that important that you had a Ken, because you could just buy 50 different Kens, and they all had very specific purposes, such as beach.
It's just beach.
Right. And what a good job you do at beach.
And that's when you have the rivalry between the Kens, don't you? Who tries to go into the sea. So you're not going to the sea. I'm lifeguard Ken. I'm surfing Ken. You're beach Ken.
The way he tries to get a job in the real world and just tries to apply for the beach.
You say, I would like to apply for the position of beach. Saying, so you're a lifeguard? No. I don't do lifeguard, I just do beach. And then he's walking around the world and he's just seeing all the stuff of okay, men can be something. And that's another thing that weird men online got annoyed about. It's it's weirdly sexist towards men. And it's that must suck, right? It must really suck that a movie plays your gender as, an object that is completely superfluous to the main character. I wonder what that's like, Nisha.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Never would have experienced it.
Well, I think my favourite bit is at the end where it's not even subtext, it's the text where all the Kens get one token bit of representation on the Barbie government, and then you have, while that's happening, you have it's Judi Dench, right? Is it Judi Dench who does the voiceover?
Yeah, I think so.
Judi Dench the lady doing the voice, I just know it's some famous British actress, but the lady doing the voiceover says, and maybe one day the Kens will have the same level of representation in government as women do in the real world.
Yeah.
And for some reason, men at home did not get that, even though it's literally telling you the joke, because they knew that people wouldn't get it. And it's and then all the men online getting annoyed about that, well, the Kens don't even get proper representation in the government. That's not fair. They're half the society. And it's that is unfair. Imagine what that'd be like. And and the movie tells you that, and people still didn't get it.
And it's really in your face where at the end, his name now.
Which one?
America. Played by America.
Oh, just the two people who aren't as interesting.
Yeah, but she literally says how it is to be a woman. What, you can't do anything right and everything's your fault.
Everyone got really annoyed. You had weird men getting annoyed about that. And it's this. If that makes you uncomfortable or you don't like hearing that,
try experiencing it.
Yeah, that's
experiencing that.
That's
being real.
Guys got annoyed at just seeing it visually represented on screen. And then they couldn't make that jump. Imagine what it's like experiencing that. And it's again, it's not subtle what the message is. It's very obvious because it's ultimately a movie that's, a message for little girls. And the fact that a message aimed at literal children was something that flew over the heads of so many people is hilarious to me. Because it's not even subtle. It's like, and maybe one day the Kens will get the same level of representation in Barbie Land as women get in the real world. And men are like, well, it's not fair. The Kens didn't even get any. Like, they got a token bit of representation in the government. That's not fair. Yeah, it's not, is it? It's not. It's almost like there should be, equal representation between, the genders in, terms of government. And it's like, but the Kens don't even get to make decisions that impact them. Like, there's Barbies making decisions for the Kens. That's not fair. Really? I wonder what it's like having the opposite gender make decisions for you that they don't understand the mechanics of, or that have the lived experience to, make an informed decision on. That must really fucking suck. And then they don't get it, and it's so funny. It's so funny.
Oh, it's a great film.
It's amazing. And the fact that it annoyed that kind of... And as well, they made $1 billion, so they can't even say... So he's like... Then he makes $1 billion, and everyone loved it, and he gets, critical universal acclaim.
I was having such a field day looking at all of the go woke, go broke people who just can't handle the fact that probably the most, in air quotes, woke film ever made $1 billion.
Yeah, it's absolutely hilarious. But bringing it back to Ken, his journey is one that resonates with a lot of guys. And that's if you're not a weird guy, Ken's journey is actually quite a wholesome, positive message for men and young boys out there, where it's he goes from literally defining himself by his proximity to Barbie. He doesn't even consider himself to be a person. That's the shot in the trailer, isn't it? It's Barbie and Ken. He doesn't care. As long as he's near Barbie, that's all he gives a shit about. Then he becomes a toxic dude bro. He becomes an arsehole, as Margot Robbie Barbie says, obsessed with the Snyder Cut on Twitter.
Mojo Dojo Casa.
It's Mojo Dojo Casa, let's go.
This shall henceforth be known as Ken's Mojo Dojo Casa House.
And then, he thinks that's what's going to make him happy, of, being in charge, of, I'm just going to be, a misogynistic arsehole. That's what's going to make me happy. And then they have that great song, which hopefully going to win Ryan Gosling an Oscar, because it's so good, where it's can you feel the Kenergy? Where it's about just him wondering, am I enough? What do I need to be enough? And ultimately, at the end of the film, he realises that it's what I don't have to define myself by, my proximity to a woman. I define myself by what I like. And that just so happens to be hanging out with the homies and kissing them goodnight. And that's what the thing is, isn't it? That entire song is about him realising, I am enough. And all the different Kens coming together. And that's a really wholesome, positive message for guys of you are enough. You are enough on your own. You are enough.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbie.
But the weird guys who get annoyed about that, that's the perfect message for them, because the message literally is, you don't need a woman to be happy.
Yeah.
That's literally the message there of Ken realising. And there were people saying, well, he doesn't even get the girl. That's the point. He doesn't need the girl to be happy. This is the message you've been screaming about online for years. It's literally a movie for you, and you don't get it because it's pink. It's pink and it annoys. And that's the thing. That message is exactly what those weird guys online scream about all the time. Well, I don't need a woman. Perfect. That's what the movie tells you. Be your own man. Be happy. Hang out with your bros. Hanging out with your bros and chilling. That's enough. You don't have to feel defined by what society says you should be. You are enough. Hang out with your bros. And then you even have the Ken's own Ken in Alan.
Oh, yeah.
Of he's even worse. He's an even more ostracized, which people have read, and it's pretty obvious that it is. An example of non traditional masculinity, where he's a Ken, but he's not quite a Ken, so he's an Alan, and he's slightly effeminate, and he doesn't like it. And they say they keep escaping into the real world, so they don't even feel like they belong in the world where the Kens don't belong. They are an even more marginalized subclass in that universe.
I cannot sit on one more leather couch. It's going to break my spirit.
And of course, it's Michael Cera, which is amazing.
It's just interesting that, obviously, on the outside, people just see the Barbie movie as it's just a kid's movie. Oh, it's just a girl movie. But there's so many deep messages in it that make it so interesting and really good.
And it's really fun. And it's such a fun movie to watch. And a lot of it's pretty surface level because it's for kids, and that's why again it's very funny. A lot of people. I'm not gonna say a lot of people. I'm gonna say a lot of loud people. They're definitely a minority, but they're a very vocal one. Just didn't get it, or were willfully ignorant of it because they just don't want to admit that a movie called the Barbie movie that's bright pink actually has a message that applies to them. Bringing it back to Ryan Gosling, long before like, people were aware of how like meta and weird and just like arty the movie was going to be. There were rumors it was going to be like, oh, it's a Barbie movie, Mattel, so this is going to be like Transformers, like cash-in schlock. Then, like those CGI Barbie movies that are terrible.
Yeah.
Or there's like crappy like tie-in Barbie games where you like ride a horse. It's like, which again a detail is that Ken's just obsessed with horses.
That was my favourite part.
Did you see that great interview where like Ryan Gosling did an interview in character as Ken about what Ken needs? And he talks about like, so what does Ken need in his day-to-day life? He said, well, you need your sunglasses. And preferably you need mirrored sunglasses so Barbie can check her makeup.
Dark ones are great because they can hide your sadness. You never want to risk bumming Barbie out.
And if you'll notice, all of Ken's sunglasses are women's sunglasses. So if Barbie needs her sunglasses, she can have Ken's sunglasses. That's why you carry a second pair of sunglasses.
That makes sense.
But that's the thing, like, that's the level of detail and thought he put into his outfit of like, well, Ken's going to wear sunglasses, but he'll wear mirrored shades so Barbie can check her makeup. Barbie never does because Barbie's perfect. But in case she's not, just in case, Ken's ready. And it's so good. I think he cares that much about it. What everyone was thinking, it's kind of going to be like a dumb, like, cash-in movie. And then when they learn, like, oh, Greta Gerwig's involved, and then they started to hear all these rumblings about what the movie was actually about. A lot of actors want to be involved, but Ryan Gosling wanted nothing to do with it. Because he even said, like, you want me to play Ken? Ken's not a character. He's nothing. Why would I want this role? And then according to him, after he got, like, the call from Greta Gerwig about, do you want to be Ken? He's like, no. He was walking in his garden, and he saw the following picture. And I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to just... There's the following image, Nisha.
just a Ken face down in the dirt.
It's just a Ken face down in the dirt next to a discarded lemon. And just Ryan Gosling in that moment just thought about just how good that symbolism was. Of like, this character is literally just discarded like it's nothing. This character does not matter to the story of Barbie. That's fascinating. And he just got his phone out and he texted Greta Gerwig, I will be your Ken. Just, I will be your Ken. And that was why he committed to the role so hard. Because he believed in that like story, and that's a story that needed to be told, but it needs to be told in a very earnest way. And that's why he absolutely refused to break character or play it as anything other than dead serious.
That pictures just remind me of the story I've told where I threw away my Richie doll. The member of Five, Richie. I had the doll version and he used to sing, and I threw him in the bin.
You can see him.
And I could hear him singing in the bin. I'm like, I'm so sorry, Richie, I'm so sorry.
So I'm just not into, like, I don't want to play with you anymore.
Just like, everybody get up, singing.
Just slowly, as more rubbish gets piled on top. And there's probably people in the comments who are going to be mad about like the fact we're talking about this movie and praising it. And it's like, I talk a lot about media literacy, but I really didn't think that media literacy was that bad. That a movie for children would go over people's heads. Because like the amount of like just weird shitty men I saw like trying to do like reaction videos and stuff of like, it's a woke movie, it's like against men. It's like, it's probably the most like for men movie I've seen. Like, if anything, one of the criticisms I have against it is it's a Barbie movie, ostensibly for little girls, and the best character arc is for the male side character. Like, Ken gets way more of an arc than Barbie does, and his arc is really, really positive. Barbie's is too. Like, she realizes, like, she goes to the real world and she just wants to be, like, she realizes that being perfect is not what it means to be a woman. You can have flaws. And I love that just the ending of the film is like, I have a vagina now.
So, yeah, can I see my gynecologist, please?
So, are there any favourite moments from the Barbie movie for you guys?
I think I mentioned mine earlier where they were trying to nearly throwing up about the feet. It's just too dramatic. I'm like, why are they throwing up so much? But I was also laughing at the scene where the corporate guys from Mattel were having to go to Barbie Land and they're all on rollerblades in the middle of the city. It's just really silly.
I got into this business because of little girls and their dreams in the least creepy way possible.
I enjoyed when they gave Barbie the drink. The real drink for the first time, and she just throws it on her face.
Yeah. She's just so used to like everything in Barbie Land being perfect.
I'm not used to that having anything in it.
It's just such a fun movie. Like, it's definitely one of those movies that like it's going to literally be in textbooks on marketing. Like, this is going to be. It was the event of the summer. Like, it was, and I think the way I've seen it described is the marketing for this movie was so good, it did the marketing for an entire other movie. That's how much and then do you see like they had like Cillian Murphy and Margot Robbie talking about it. And, like, he thinks it's so funny. He thinks it's so funny. Because, like, clearly he doesn't give a shit.
There's a scene as well, I was laughing at because I was just like, what the hell? When they're all chasing Barbie around the building in Mattel, they're all like running like they're in a simulation or a game and they just keep running past each other.
Yeah, it's just one of those fun things. Like, why do they do that? Because it's fun. It was fun.
Yeah, I was like, what is the purpose? It's really funny. But why?
Because it was fun. It's like, the fight scene. Like, wasn't it Michael Cera do a fight scene as Alan, but in the background of a shot? For no reason.
Also that bit where like, it's bad, but it also made me like, oh my god, is where he is going around looking for a job and he goes into the hospital and he's just like, get me a real doctor, get me a man.
Can I talk to a doctor?
You are talking to a doctor.
Can you get me a coffee?
No.
And I need a clicky pen?
No.
And a white coat?
No.
And a sharp thing?
No.
There he is. Doctor!
And that's the thing is that people think that's like exaggerated. Like there's guys like, that's really exaggerated. Like there's countless women who watch the movie and like, no, that's exactly what it's like. Like
I've seen it happen in real life with people who are like, oh, it's a woman can do that job, and it's like, yes, obviously. And
it reminds me a little bit of an anecdote from an article I wrote a few years ago for Today I found out of like, why don't you see more female pilots? And the short answer is that the path to becoming a pilot is very expensive, and one of the few ways that you could just like skip the line, as it were, is by flying a plane in the military and getting your license that way. Because getting a commercial pilot's license costs a fortune, but if you're in the military, you've already got the experience and you can basically just get the license that way. And up until very recently, you couldn't be a fighter pilot if you're a woman. It's only very recently that they changed that, and in fact, that's referenced in Top Gun Maverick, where it has the exact same intro at the start of the movie, but they only changed it to be gender neutral. Because between the release of the last movie and Maverick, they allowed female fighter pilots, and that's why they have a female fighter pilot in that movie. Okay. The anecdote from that article that just made me go, for fuck's sake, is speaking interview with one of the few female pilots that was around at the time. It's like, so does anyone react differently to seeing? Because obviously it's not often you see a female pilot. So for the most part, people just think it's a curiosity, which is fine. What does bother me though is the men I've had stand up and get off the plane when they hear me talk over the tannoy. Men will stand up and get off the plane of I don't want to be on a plane with a female pilot.
Yeah,
and again, there's probably
heard those stories.
There will be a guy out there saying that's exaggerated, and then there's probably a woman going, "Yeah, that sounds about right."
Yeah.
There's that tongue-in-cheek scene in Barbie that's like, it's true, but it's also played up.
Yeah.
The one where they're trying to get the Barbies away from the Kens, so they're doing all the things that they know the Kens will enjoy.
Yeah.
Like getting them to explain the plot of movies.
Yeah,
and stuff.
it's like I don't understand The Godfather and all the and again. Not all guys are like that, but that kind of guy is definitely like that. Of a guy having an opportunity to talk down to a woman about a subject. Hell yeah.
Here, let me show you. 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 Here, let us show you.
Or when it goes to the beach and it's again, I don't think it's that subtle, but all the Kens are just doing the exact same things trying to impress the Barbies. They refuse to be themselves because they're only doing what they think will make the Barbies like them. It was they sing the song on the beach. And I read that. I'm not sure if anyone else did, but it seemed pretty clear to me that's a tear down of all that weird pick-up artistry stuff of this is how you attract women. You got to be buff and you got to look like this and you got to do exactly these steps. And the fact that every Barbie there is rolling their eyes except for two of them. And I say it works on a couple of them, but most of the Barbies really.
That typical douche with the guitar at a campfire.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But they're all doing it, and it's that really funny visual gag of every Ken thinks that's the only way to attract a woman. They're not treating the Barbies like people with thoughts and feelings. They're doing the same thing that they did to them initially. And that's why you have the big fight at the end, which is going to get Ryan Gosling an Oscar, because if it fucking doesn't, who's going to get Best Original Song if not Ryan Gosling? It's so good.
I'm just kidding.
It's so good. And it's the fact he played it so straight. And the lyrics as well of anywhere else I'd be a 10. And that thing of him really thinking of why am I not enough?
Blonde fragility.
Yeah, I'm so blonde and I'm so buff, but Barbie don't want none. What's going on? And then throughout the song, he comes to the realization of it's because you're not confident. You've got the facade of confidence. You're not yourself. You're not accepted yourself yet. So if people aren't going to accept, if you're not accepted yourself, why will people accept you? And that's what the song's about. And it's so good.
Last time we all filmed together was last week.
Yes.
I was in the morning. I was like in a pretty decent mood, and on the way to meet Nisha, I was singing "I'm Just Ken" very loudly down the street, and she was waiting by a car, and I saw Nisha looking around like, "Is there anyone else here?"
And it's so good. I think it's such a good song.
You were skipping down the street.
That's because I am Kenough.
Yeah, you are. You are Kenough.
You're Kenough as well, Carl.
That's the point. Have you got the Kennedy? And that's the thing as well. The idea of that. And like, there's people getting annoyed about it. It's like, why are you annoyed? The message literally is like, be yourself. Like, the truest version of yourself is the version of yourself that's most attractive.
And it's really promoting masculine positivity to each other as well.
Yeah.
Like that little jokey conversation me and you just had, like, but we're Kenough, Carl.
Yeah. And it's that thing like, talk to your bros, kiss your homies goodnight. And the fact as well, all the Kens realise what they do and do not like. And like, some of like, that's why you have Alan, isn't it? Like, I don't like any of this like typically macho stuff. And it's like, and then he realised that's okay. It's okay that you don't like all that sort of thing, but it's also it's okay if you do like it. It's okay if you like, but just don't be a dick about it, which is kind of the point of like that middle part of the movie, where the Kens just being dicks about everything. Oh, what a great movie.